My name is Laura Hughes, and I'm the Director of Equitable Transition with the Pembina Institute. I grew up in Coldstream, British Columbia, which is just outside of Vernon in the Okanagan. I did my undergraduate degree at UBC's Okanagan campus in Kelowna in physical geography and a minor in psychology. And I did my Master's of Science in Amsterdam in Environment and Resource Management. I live and work in Canmore, Alberta. I'm based here working remotely most of the time, but technically out of the Pembina Institute's Calgary office. I have always been interested in the environmental sector. I remember being 5 or 6 years old, looking out my window at the mountains and thinking, one day I want to help nature. And I didn't know what that meant, but I knew that that's where I was going to be through the duration of my life. In high school, I had a really influential teacher as well who encouraged me on that pathway and showed me that I had the potential to do what I really wanted to do and call it my career. I started my career actually working in marine conservation off the coast of Honduras as a scuba dive master. I got to dive every day off of a protected reef where it was no tourists, just researchers, just a team of divers and me on this island. And it was one of the most enriching experiences of my life and also one of the most eye-opening to the impacts of climate. This was such a highlight of my career, and I could have done that forever but wanted to grow more professionally, and from there worked in energy conservation, which I found interesting and a direct link to climate, but decided to go back to grad school to take things a little further. Through my experience in grad school, I got to work with the Nature Conservancy, and they flew me to Papua New Guinea to live with a tribe on an island that they had identified as potentially one of the most vulnerable places in the world to climate change. I was collecting information about the impacts of climate and the potential environmental economic solutions to the climate impacts there. But more importantly for me, I was experiencing the front lines of climate change with this tribe who I was frankly really coming to love, and who embraced me and gave me a tribal name and taught me their dances and their language. In the midst of this, I was attending their funerals once or twice a week. This tribe of only 600 people at its highest point. And I was grieving the deaths of people who I'd come to love on a regular basis while inputting this scientific data, and there was just this deep conflict and deep need to do something about it. You don't leave an experience like that and not work in climate for the rest of your life. I decided I had never actually really been to Alberta, and I decided that Alberta was the place in the world that I could have the greatest climate impact, because this is the front lines of climate action right now. From there, I assessed the landscape of where I wanted to be in this province and found that Pembina Institute was the right place for me, and came to Pembina 2 years later, got my dream job, and here I am. The Pembina Institute is Canada's leading clean energy think tank. We develop credible policy solutions for climate and clean energy in Canada through research, convening conversations, and developing credible perspectives on important issues. My role within the Pembina Institute is really socially oriented. So one of my favorite things that I do is I work on developing depolarizing narratives for Albertans in particular. My first experience with Eco-Canada was when I got my first environmental nonprofit job in Alberta when I moved here. They funded a position that launched me into the environmental world where I wanted to be. So through that position with an environmental nonprofit, I was able to be on the ground in Alberta and understanding who is doing what and where are they doing it and where I would fit within that ecosystem. So that allowed me to define my role in this province and where I wanted to be and where I wanted to take my career. What I would like to see change in the environmental space still is further depolarization of the topic of climate. For a lot of Canadians, it probably seems like it's a done deal and that we need climate action, but there are areas that still are uncertain about whether climate action is right. I would love to see that shift finally happen, that all Canadians can see a future for themselves that does include climate action and understand that there are options for them within an emerging economy.